Hello, and welcome to the Freddie Mac Connect. It takes a village to close a home, communicating with your community session. Audience members are in listen only mode. This session is being recorded and will be available following the conference. To submit a question, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you experience any technical issues, please use the Q&A box and someone will assist you. Lastly, you will find icons at the bottom of your screen with links to the speaker bios and the presentation deck. With that, I will turn it over to mortgage industry veteran and author, Dr. Lynn Richardson. Dr. Lynn, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. Everybody knows the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, after being in the mortgage industry for over 2 decades, I realized that it takes a village to close a home. So I'm really excited about having this opportunity to speak with you today and to talk about what it's going to take in order to help more underserved communities get to experience the dream of homeownership. So I'm going to go over our agenda today, and you can take notes. I also highly recommend that you listen intently and capture those aha moments. I don't want you to get so caught up in taking notes that you miss something. I think that this is going to be a life-changing experience and a career-changing one as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about the overview of the Master Achievement Plan. I started using the Master Achievement Plan very, very early in my career. I remember going to a top producer convention. It was my first time leaving Chicago, going to California. And I went to that convention, and about 70% of what was said were things that I already knew, but I needed to put them in some kind of order in order to see the kind of success in my business that I wanted to see. I'm also going to talk to you about mapping your life, providing a master achievement plan for your life, because guess what? This is your life. It's your career, but your life is very, very important. We're also going to talk about mapping your business, a master achievement plan for your life, as well as a master achievement plan for your business, so that the two can coincide and you can have harmony. We're also going to talk about establishing an origination system. We all know what it's like doing loans, helping people get into homes, and we know all of the steps. But are those steps in order? Are those steps things that you could teach someone else? Are those steps going to enable you to work your business even when you're sleeping? So we're going to talk about establishing an origination system and why that's important. We're also going to talk about building strategic partnerships. And of course, we know that this is a referral-based business, but we also want to look at this as an enterprise, wherein if you had a restaurant, you'd have to have a partner to provide the hamburgers or the bread or the buns. Well, we want to make sure that we are building strategic partnerships that'll help us get where we're trying to go in our businesses. We're also going to talk about communicating with your community, knowing who your community is, knowing what those buzzwords are, and knowing what it's going to take in order to get to the end of the ultimate goal. And that is to help our communities get into homes while we participate in careers that we can be proud of that are also not going to stress us out. So what is the Master Achievement Plan? Well, let me tell you what the problems are. Are you running your life, or does it seem like your life is running you? Are you trying to overcome the feast or famine syndrome in your origination business? I mean, I remember there were times in my business where I'd make a whole lot of money and then I'd make no money, because all the time while I was making money, I was closing loans and I was helping customers, but I forgot to go out and drum up new business. And so I found myself having income, not having income, and being very frustrated. Do you have a life plan? For many of us, that plan is we just want to wake up every day. We want to make enough money to take care of our bills and hopefully be able to give in some capacity to the people we love and to the communities that we serve. But is there a plan for that? Has your business stalled in spite of your business plan? So yes, maybe you sat down with your business manager, or you sat down with your branch manager, or you sat down with an executive coach and you put together this wonderful business plan. And now it's sitting somewhere on a desk, untouched and unlived. So we want to talk about a business plan that you can actually live out and feel. Do you feel like a jack of all trades and master of nothing? Are you doing too many things in your origination business that perhaps should be delegated to someone else in your origination business so that you can spend your best time, you can spend most of your time at your highest and best use? Are you a new loan originator or manager trying to develop a sales strategy? So you came into this business and you know you want to help people, but you don't really have a strategy. Well, these are some of the areas that show up for all of us. Guess what? You are not alone. I remember starting in this business and having high hopes and dreams. And number one, I wanted to help people, but I also wanted to be able to earn an income that would support my family and that would allow me to be able to do some of the things I want to do, like take vacation and put my daughter in dance class. But I found that it was very difficult to manage both. And so this problem that we're having, and you may have other problems, you may see other things happening. It is not unique to you. It is something that happens consistently in the business, and we're going to work together with the Master Achievement Plan. I'm going to tell you some of the things in it. We won't be able to get through all of it in this session, but I'm going to give you some of the basics of the Master Achievement Plan so you can achieve the direction and the structure in your life and business so you can bring more value to your partners and clients, and of course, ultimately more value to yourself and your family. Now, I'm going to say this. You will not have a successful business if your life is in chaos, okay? You know, I have this funny saying all the time. I say, you cannot have order amidst clutter. And some of us have gotten really comfortable with our cluttery offices, our cluttery homes. Well, we can't have a cluttery office or a cluttered home and think we're going to have the kind of order and success that is consistent and that's dependable. And it's the same thing with our lives. Now, I'm going to tell you about this woman, this person. She's a wife, mother, and a caretaker. She has over 20 plus years in the mortgage industry, much experience. She's highly sought after. She's hosting a local real estate radio show. So she has customers calling her every day of the week, all day, every single day. She's managing a branch of 8 loan officers. Every loan officer in that branch is new to the industry. They had no experience prior to coming to work for this woman. Her business grows by more than 100% each year. So one year she does 5 million, the next year she does 10 million, the next year she does 20 million, and so on and so forth. And she serves Black and brown home buyers in underserved communities. So this is what's happening in her life. And this is what's also happening in her business. So if we were to go around this and kind of look at it like a clock, here's what's happening. Here's the pain and the frustration. My business is the center of my existence, and my life must adjust to my business. So I couldn't go to cheerleading competitions, or this person couldn't go to the games, or she may have had to back out of family events because the business was there first, front and center. Here are the other issues. The value that she's providing to her clients and to her business partners is inconsistent. Why? Because she gets burned out. She works really hard, long hours, 24-hour days, it seems like sometimes. And so the quality of what she does diminishes over time because she just gets too tired to keep up that pace. The income is not stable. At the end of the year, the W-2 looks okay. But again, there were seasons of earning money and there were seasons where none was earned at all. And so she's finding herself frustrated with her finances, and she's finding herself not necessarily looking like the kind of customer that she's teaching about. She's telling her customers, get your credit in order, get your money together, save and have an emergency fund. But she doesn't always have that for herself. That's something that's very consistent in this industry, in the mortgage business, where the people we're serving, we're not necessarily living up to that ourselves. That's a point of pain and frustration. Also, because of that, you're not living what it is that you want to teach. So what are the motivations and what are the goals? My life is the center of my existence. And so I can have balance in my life, and my business can fit around that life. I can provide consistent and predictable value to my clients and partners. As a result of the Master Achievement Plan and everything that I'm doing to learn better, to be better, and to do better, I'm earning the income that will allow me to create generational wealth. That's so important to me. So now I can look like what I'm talking about. I'm not just preaching, I am practicing what I preach. And I'm a good example to my customers, to the community that I serve, and of course, to my family and to the people who I love. So I am living what I teach and I am teaching what I live. That's the goal that we're looking to get to. So, how do you map your life? You will not have a life that you value if your business runs it. I remember, and this is a funny story about that woman. And of course, she's me. She started out with these goals and dreams and wanting to be great in the mortgage business. And then eventually the business was running her. And then that didn't work. And somehow she found a way to get some balance and some order. I remember having my second child. And I was in the hospital, and I knew it was going to be several hours before that time was going to come. So this is how much my business was running my life. I told my husband, grab my laptop, I'm going to pull credit reports. And so the news had gotten out that I was in the hospital having a baby. My referral partners were telling my customers, and I called a customer to ask her something about her credit. And she said, Lynn, I thought you were in the hospital having a baby. I said, yeah, but what does that have to do with you? Now, certainly it showed my commitment, but things were a little out of balance. Now, I love my job and I love helping people get into homes. But of course, there should be some boundaries and some balance. So what's important about life to you? When you start to think about what is your life and what does it mean? If you were able to stand up in front of the world and say, this is what life means to me, then that probably is going to direct you in your life purpose. It's very important to know what's important about life to you. Why? Because it's going to dictate how you run your entire life and how you run your entire business. Let me give you an example. I remember being in the mortgage industry, and I asked this question of one of my colleagues, and my colleague, the answer was money. Money was the most important thing. And so I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but for me, it was helping people. So my entire business was set up to help people. My life was set up to help people. My colleague's life and my colleague's business was set up to make money. So I remember back in those days, my colleague would charge an astronomical amount of points for every single loan. Well, when interest rates began to rise and the refinance market went away, that next year, my partner almost went out of business because my partner was focused only on making money, whereas I was focused on helping people. And so I was able to get referral business, and I was able to tap into my incubator, which I'll talk to you a little bit about, and have repeat business coming back to me. So what's important about life to you? You should answer that question and know what that is. And that should be the center of everything you do. It's the reason why I started teaching home buyer classes. It's the reason why I started teaching people how to get their credit straight. It's the reason why even if someone came to me and could not get a mortgage today, it's the reason why I put them in an incubator, because you'll be able to buy your house in 6 months, 9 months, a year, or 2 years. And I want to be here to help you when you're ready. When does your life need to change? That's a real, sometimes it causes tears, because you're looking at the things in your life. What is it that you want to change? Do you need more quality time with your spouse? Do you need to repair a relationship with a significant other or a sibling or a parent or a child or someone that you've lost contact with? Are your finances where you want them to be? Is your bank account saying what you want it to say? You see, when you first identify what's important about life to you, and then you move on in this exercise and you're honest with yourself about the things that you want to change, what you realize is you cannot fix what you will not face. And I remember writing this long list of things that I wanted to change, and I started crying. I was like, oh my God, my life is so terrible. But the truth is, thoughts disentangle themselves when they pass through your fingertips, and I needed to get those things out of my head onto paper so I could see them, so I could do something about it. Here's the next step in mapping your life. What does your life look like in its ideal state? What is your vision of perfection? What do you see? Do you see a world-class business? Do you see a whole team of originators in your city, your state, your region? Do you see growing up the food chain, if you will, and getting a promotion? And what is it that you see? What is that ideal thing? One of the things that I say is you have to aim high. As a matter of fact, my big brother Les Brown always says, I want you to aim high, because even if you miss, I'd rather you aim high and miss than aim low and hit, right? So what is that ideal vision for your finances, the ideal vision for your life, the ideal vision for your spirituality, the ideal vision for your family? What are those things looking like in their ideal state? After you do that, in the life mapping process, one of the things that you do is, let's just say, for example, in your ideal state, you want to get a PhD, but today you don't have a GED. So the 60-day goal is to get into a GED class, and the daily activities are the things that you do to make sure that you can get to that class. And then after 60 days, you create a new goal, and eventually you continue doing this mapping process until your vision of perfection is now a reality. What are your triggers? Where are your triggers? Do you get triggered emotionally? Is there something going on with your weight? Is there some unresolved issue that you may have in your business? Is there an area of your business where you want to grow, or in your life where you want to grow? And perhaps you need to take a class in order to get better in that area. Where are your triggers? What makes you happy? What makes you sad? What makes you thoughtful? What are those things that drive you to be better and to do better? Know where your triggers are. Who gets a ticket to the screenplay of your life? Who's in the front row cheering you on? Who doesn't get a ticket at all? And this is not necessarily about, cutting anyone off or making a big announcement, but know who gets a front seat in your life. Because as you begin to build this world-class business, and as you begin to earn the income, then you also want to be in the presence of people you enjoy. And many times we are not getting where we want to go in life and business because there are people in our lives who are draining us. So when you start to map out your life, you want to know who are the people who you're going to allow in the front row, who's going to sit in the balcony. Let me tell you the beautiful thing about the balcony. In the balcony, they can see you, but you can't see them, right? So maybe they're in the balcony and maybe they don't get a ticket at all. How are you going to set boundaries? What are you going to say yes to? What are you going to say no to? I had to establish boundaries. That woman that we talked about earlier with this origination business and this life that's kind of out of control and she's trying to get it back in control. I had to say yes to some things. I had to say no to some things. I had to tell my children on a Saturday morning, I'm not going to get up at 6 a.m. to cook you breakfast. I'm not going to do that. Right? So what are your boundaries? How are we going to share the chores? How are we going to share the life activities that we all enjoy? Who's going to have responsibility over what? And how are we going to divvy up this thing called life? Upon completion of your life map, you will have a blueprint for executing the goals that you want to achieve in your life. The most beautiful thing about mapping your life is once you're done, it becomes very clear what you're going to do. You don't wake up on any day saying, what am I going to do today? Why? Because you have identified what's important. You know when your life needs to change. You are looking at it in its ideal state. So you have a why. You know what you're aiming for. You know what your triggers are. You have your 60-day goals, your daily activities, and it ends up being a very beautiful thing. Now, what about mapping your business? In the same way that you mapped your life, you will not reach your business goals if you don't know what they are. Yes, we all want to make a lot of money, or we all want to be able to buy that new home, or we want to invest and start planning for retirement. But what are your numbers? So in addition to knowing your purpose in your business, what is your purpose in your business? My purpose was to help people. That's why I was teaching classes. Remember that baby that I was having? Well, a week after I had the baby, I had to teach a class at the community college, 1 week. And because my goal was to help people, I knew my purpose. I was always putting the numbers in place to match that purpose. So if I was going to teach a class, how many classes am I going to teach? How many students do I want to get to? How many referral partners do I need? How many connections do I need to make those referral partners? Now we have social media. We've got TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and each of those connections can be used in a different way to get to your audience. But you want to know what those numbers are. You don't want to map your business and say, well, hey, I think I need 10,000 followers, or I may need to. No, know what that number is, and then know how you're going to get there. Know if it's going to take 10 referral partners to achieve your financial goal, or if it's going to take 20. Know if you're going to have to teach 10 home buyer classes, or if you're going to have to teach 20, 30, or 40. Know if you're going to need 4 new realtor partners or 4 new financial planning partners. Know what those numbers are. Okay? This is lots of fun. I love it. So when you map your business, here's some questions that you're going to ask yourself. Remember, you will not reach your business goals if you do not have a map directing you. So here are the questions that you're going to ask. 1, why are you in business? Now, remember, I asked this question about your life. What's important about life to you? It's the same question here. You may find that you have the same answer. Okay. For me, at one point in time, the most important thing in my life was my spirituality, and the most important thing in my business was helping my customers. Eventually, I have one message, and that is to help others achieve personal, professional, and spiritual harmony. So in my life, that's the answer, and in my business, that's the answer. But there is no right or wrong. It's whatever is important to you. Remember, I asked you in your life, what needs to change? Well, what needs to change or grow in your business? Do you need new referral partners? How about that assistant that may or may not be working out? Maybe you don't have an assistant at all, so you are the assistant. Maybe you need to expand your knowledge base of the programs. Are you only doing one program, or are you knowledgeable about different loan programs so that you can provide a more diverse set of options to your buyers? What needs to change? What does your business look like in its ideal state? I love this one. This is your vision of perfection for your business. Does your business have 20 referral partners? Are you doing $10 million a year in business? Are you doing X number of home buyer classes? Do you have a whole homeownership series at the local community college? What does that look like for you? Do you have one branch, or do you have 10 branches? What does your business look like in its ideal state? And what do those buyers look like? Are they coming back to you at the end of the year for an annual mortgage review? Are you taking a look at the changes that have taken place in their lives or their businesses or their families to see if you can provide bigger, better, and more solutions? Who are your prime customers? Who are your strategic alliances? And again, who are your essential partners? Now, it may seem like some of this may be, you may have said this already, or you may have addressed it in your life vision of perfection. But again, I want to make sure that we pinpoint. And if you have answers that are showing up in 2 categories, it's okay. The consistency and the detail is what I want you to get to. Where do you find your prime connections? Are you doing most of your business because of your Instagram posts? Are you going to networking events? Are you hanging out at the builder's site? Are you going to the real estate office? Where are you getting your best connections? And know what those things are, and make sure that you are bringing value and you are providing value in those spaces. How are you going to build revenue streams? Know your numbers. How do you earn money? Do you earn money just from originations? Are there any other kinds of referral plans wherein you can have a strategic business alliance? Are you able to earn referrals upon disclosing and making sure that you're disclosing the right things to your customers? Where are your income streams? Let me tell you where I developed additional income streams. I had income streams from doing mortgages, but I also had income streams from writing books, from teaching classes and many other areas. So what are your additional income streams? Identify them and make sure you put a map around those income streams as well. Upon completion of your business map, when you map your business, you will have a blueprint for the goals you want to achieve in your life and in your business. So excited about this. Okay, let's talk now about establishing an origination system. Develop an origination system if you want to capture your clients before they shop. Okay, so I was always interested in making sure that people knew me, talked to me, and spoke to me sometimes even before they knew they wanted to buy a house. Of course, there are times when my realtor partner or another partner would refer a client to me because that client expressed that they wanted to buy a home and they needed assistance getting a mortgage. But I was always in the business of creating new home buyers, sparking new thought. How long have you been renting? Have you ever thought about buying a home? So giving people new ideas. So you want to gather information and you want to set the stage. When you gather information about your client, you want to know more than their name, email address, and their mobile number. You want to know their family members. Is it an extended family? Are they taking care of a parent and loved one? You want to know as much about that client as possible. There may come a time where you may need to leverage the knowledge that you know to help them get approved for that mortgage. Next, after you gather all of the information, so I would never, and let me just explain this in a different way. Many loan originators come into the office and they do whatever they're going to do. If the phone is ringing, they pick up the phone. If they need to look at a credit report, they look at the credit report. No, for that morning, for the first hour, all I'm going to do is gather information. I'm going to be in a different state of mind. I'm going to be in my customer service mode. I'm going to be in my I'm going to help everybody mode. And all I'm going to do is gather information. Next, I'm going to analyze all of the credit reports from all the information that I gathered. Now, this is my quiet time. My phone isn't ringing. If it is ringing, I'm not answering it. Why? Because I've got to focus in and I've got to look at all the credit reports. There were times when I may have had 15 credit reports to look at, 25, 30, or 3. Whatever it is, I'm going to give that my undivided attention. I'm going to make sure I'm looking up my programs because what I do in one file may need to be duplicated in another file. The next thing you're going to do is now I'm going to let everybody know. I'm not going to call anybody. I'm going to send everybody that written communication. Okay, so let me explain why it's important to communicate in writing first. Because if you call the customer and say, hey, I got you approved for $200,000 loan, and then they're going to want to write. Then they're going to need to find a pen. Now, what you said, they don't remember. So if you give them the information in writing first, they can follow along and you can have a more clean experience in your origination process. So I'm going to provide that written notification. They're going to get the pre-qualification, the pre-approval, or guess what? You heard me use the word before, MAP. And what does MAP mean in this case? A MAP is a mortgage approval plan. I can't get you into a mortgage today, but if you do this for the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year, you'll be in your house by Christmas. You'll be in your house by Thanksgiving. You'll be in your house by Mother's Day. You'll be in your house before your next birthday. So I always give them the news, but also give them a milestone so it always feels like good news. The next part is the incubation period and the call to action. So if your customer can't do anything right now, put them in a nice little incubator. Make sure that they're in an area in your contact management system where maybe they get a monthly newsletter, or maybe there's a weekly email, or maybe there's some kind of system wherein you're saying, hang in there, don't give up. There are all kinds of contact management programs that will allow you to keep your customers in the incubator without you having to talk to them every single day. Otherwise, you're going to have your call to action. So if that customer is now eligible to buy a mortgage, now they're going to go out with the realtor. You're telling them how much they can get approved for. You're giving them guidelines on the interest rate. And you're also telling them If you buy a house that's $300,000 or $500,000, this is how much your taxes needs to be. It needs to stay within this range. So whatever that call to action is, whatever those instructions are, you're giving that to your customers as well. Next, you want to organize the file. You want to complete your file. You want to submit it to processing. Let me actually go a step back. You want to do your application consultations. Okay. So once you've put your call to action in place, that's when you do all of your applications. So how does my day go? In the morning, I'm gathering information. For an hour after I do that, maybe I take a break. Then I'm analyzing all my credit. Then I'm putting together all of my responses. I'm doing everything at one time, like an assembly line. There's order. I feel in control of my day. I don't have to pick up a phone, call this customer back, do this. Oh, wait, I did do my credit reports. I've got things in order. After you've got everything in order and you do your call to action, then you want to do your application consultations. So I would do applications from 2 in the afternoon until 3:30. And if it didn't fit in that time, then I had to move it to another day. If I had too many customers, then perhaps I'm going to expand that time. Or maybe I'm going to do application consultations only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are going to be my days. Whatever it is, you're going to develop a system so that you have predictability, so that you have order, and so that you can have a bit of peace, right? And your customers and your referral partners also know what to expect and when to expect it, okay? After that, you're going to organize all of your files. So I have my files sitting in a big stack on my desk. And then I go through all my files, organize them, make sure things were crossed off and checked off and things like that. And then I'm going to submit the file to processing. And then after the contracts are received, your customer has gone out, they've gone out, they're shopping. Now we are getting ready, getting set to close. Or if it's a refinance, maybe you've done the appraisal and they're ready to now submit that loan for a clear to close. So again, the point here is you want to have a system. You do not want your business running you. When you get into that office, when you sit at that desk, whether you're working from home or you're going into the office, you want a time block and you want to know exactly what you're handling at every given point of your day so that you have order, control, and then you are creating this beautiful new business for yourself. Let's talk a little bit about building strategic partnerships. Establish connections that facilitate reciprocal business referrals. So I was always thinking, how can we do business together? So if I refer my customer to you because my customer now needs homeowners insurance, do you have any homeowners who may need an annual review? If I refer my customer to you for a homeowners insurance policy, do you have any customers that may think about relocating? So how are we going to create reciprocal business partnerships? And one of the things that I always recommend is when you're doing business with other professionals, make sure you are working with people who are building a customer for life business, because your reputation will be attached to that business partner. If I refer someone to another colleague for homeowners insurance or to get an estate plan or to get a home inspection or whatever it is that they're addressing in that home buying process. And if they don't have a good experience, they're going to ask me, well, Lynn, why did you refer this person to me? So ensure that you are doing business with like-minded professionals who are also creating a customer for life business, meaning I'm going to treat you in such a way that I want you to come back to me for life. I want your parents to come to me. I want your kids to come to me for business. I want to earn your business and I want to earn your repeat business year after year, home after home. Seek out attorneys, financial advisors, home inspectors, and establish those reciprocal relationships. You know, I often receive referrals from home inspectors. You might be thinking, well, how does a home inspector, because the home inspector comes in on the transaction after the customer has already picked out the house and in many cases gotten the mortgage. Well, I've had many inspectors say, this house didn't pass the inspection. So the customer wasn't able to get this kind of a mortgage, and their mortgage provider or their lender or their banker didn't have any options. So I'm going to recommend you. So always ensure that you have given your referral partner enough information to brag about you. And you always want to have enough information to brag about your referral partners. And let me say this, do more for your partners than they do for you. I didn't expect the real estate professionals to just give me customers. I wrote the letters for them and I put my information in, so all they had to do was press send. I didn't expect my financial planners to go grab my bio off the website and send out. No, I put the packets together for them, and then they were able to send the packets to their customers, and it was a courtesy of them. So it was something to brag about me. I put it together and they were able to send it out and they were able to look good. But I did the work. I always do more for my partners than I'm asking them to do for me. So not only are they in a position where they're excited about the customers we're working on together, but they're also excited because I didn't dump a bunch of work on their desk. Okay. So you always want to think about that. Communicating with your community. Know the language and speak with clarity. I remember helping a young family on the south side of Chicago. And on the south side of Chicago, the landlord lives in the building and she does not collect checks. She only accepts cash for rent. There's another family who lives in Naperville, Illinois, and that apartment building is managed by a management company and they take checks. So I had to be able to communicate with my underwriter to say, in this community, it is customary and it is normal and it is usual and customary for the landlord. They don't take checks. They only take cash, and there is no paper trail. Okay. So we're going to have to get a letter from the landlord explaining that I only take cash. I've lived here for 30 years. And so it's those kinds of things, understanding the uniqueness about your community and then being able to convey that communication to your underwriter, to your processor, and to your entire team, so that your customer can not only have a fair and equitable experience, but they can have one that has been customized based upon, yes, we're still following the laws, but do we need to tweak something in order to get this file approved? So I'm always going to say, learn their language and incorporate the uniqueness of your community into your templates. Let me give you an example. I'll never forget, I was taking a test and I had to choose the letter of the alphabet that the rug started with. The only problem, I saw a rug and there was no R. There was an M for mat. I didn't consider it to be a mat. I considered it to be a rug. So sometimes if you are requesting something from your borrower, you may need to use language that they understand, and or you may need to ask more questions so that you get a better understanding of their scenario. Find unique ways to educate your clients and business partners. Here's how I always tell my story, for example, about credit. Nobody wants to hear anything about credit. Nobody wants to be bullied about their credit. And certainly no one wants to be shamed. So whenever I had a customer who had a credit issue and he or she may have felt some kind of way, I would say, listen, treat your creditors as you'd have your debtors treat you. Has anyone ever borrowed money from you? Yes. Did they fail to pay you back? Yes. And how did that make you feel? So find creative ways to diffuse the energy in a very high anxiety process like buying a home, and find ways to help your customer feel good about the changes that they need to make, all the while getting what they need in order to get approved for that mortgage. Start a home buyers class at your local community college, at your community center. What about your local library? Is there a home buying class that you could do? Do you have to take your children to daycare? Maybe you can do a home buying class for all of the parents who pick up their children at the end of the week, the end of the month. What about while you are at the hair salon waiting? I do home buyer classes at the hair salon because guess what? Everybody's just sitting around at the hair salon gossiping. So how about we not gossip and we learn how to build wealth? And those conversations would always turn into learning opportunities, community building opportunities, and opportunities for me to be in front of someone once again doing what I love most, and that is providing help. So I think we've gotten through everything here, and we're going to take a few questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lynn, for that informative information. Remember to submit a question, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If we do not get to your question, we will connect with you following the conference. So let's see, we have quite a few questions in here, Dr. Lynn. First question, how do I end relationships with referral partners who are no longer in alignment with my business goals?
Wow, that's an excellent question. We've all had those situations where I was doing really good business with this referral partner for the past 3 years, and all of a sudden, I don't know what has happened. Here's what I want you to remember. Oftentimes, your referral partners are going through life experiences that you may not know about. Maybe there's been a divorce. Maybe there's been a loss in income. Maybe there's an illness that you don't know about. So I want you to always take the time to have a new outlook on your origination business. This may be a good time to sit down with each of your referral partners. And you know how you just created your life map and your business map? Perhaps that's a process that you'd want to engage in with your referral partner. If you ask your referral partner, what's important about life to me, or what's important about business to me, or you ask that question of your referral partner, you may find that they no longer want to do business. You may find that they're burned out. You may find that maybe they've gotten pigeonholed into an area that they're not accustomed to being in. And so when you are able to sit down and set goals and discuss timelines, you are then able to have a better understanding of that referral partner and how that referral partner is going to fit into your future business. In one of my sessions, Developing Your A Team, How to Build a Profitable Referral Network, you'll learn how to create measurable goals, how to have a production-oriented deliverable time, and how to have production-oriented deliverables and timelines, and how to bring efficiency to your entire origination business so that you and your referral partners, and even if you have to get new referral partners, you'll know who they are so you can be successful.
Thank you, Dr. Lynn. Our next submitted question, how do I set boundaries with my buyers and referral partners and maintain a high level of customer service?
Okay, that's an excellent question. And that's one of the reasons why I highly, highly recommend having that origination system. Remember, that system is going to keep you in order, but it's also going to give you a very professional way. So instead of saying, I'm not talking to any customers right now, you're saying, this is my uh, uh, business building time. This is my phone calling time. This is my origination, or maybe I'm looking at new programs. You're able to say with certainty and with clarity that you've got some boundaries in place that are going to help you and the customer. So we all know that customers are in emergency mode. Something has happened. The appraisal didn't go through. And they may, there was a time when I'd get a page. Remember, we had pagers, 911 in the middle of the night and all of those things. So what you want to do is you want to be very, very clear about informing your customers, informing your buyers, and informing your referral partners before they need you. Okay, so be very clear in your what happens next. Be very clear in your origination email. Always refer them back to item number 3 on the pre-approval letter, because in many cases, they're just overwhelmed and they don't know the business the way you know the business. But if you set up a system with templates and scripts, you can always send your customer and your referral partner right back to those same scripts. So then you are not called into emergencies at every hour of the day or night.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Lynn. That is all the time that we have for questions. Again, if we did not get to your question, we will connect with you following the conference, and your opinion is important to us. So please take a few moments to take our brief survey so that we can continue to bring you timely and relevant content. You can also log in anytime after the conference to play back any session presented today. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the conference.